listen to me. There's one phrase I live by, one phrase that has the power to separate the winners from the people who always stay stuck. And that phrase is simply no excuses, just work. That's it. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated. You don't need another book. You don't need another podcast. You don't need somebody holding your hand, because at the end of the day, you've got to stop blaming your environment, stop blaming your past, stop blaming what you didn't get, stop blaming who didn't support you, stop blaming the school system, stop blaming your parents, stop blaming your boss, stop blaming your coach, stop blaming the weather, stop blaming the country you were born in, stop blaming the money you don't have, stop blaming the skills you weren't born with. None of that changes the reality that the only way forward is ownership and work. Excuses are nothing but the lies you tell yourself so you can stay the same. Excuses are the chains you put around your own neck while you convince yourself you're locked up by somebody else. And I came here to tell you that if you want it bad enough, if you really want to go from where you are to where you dream of being, you've got to kill the excuses and replace them with relentless work. You don't understand. Some of you are letting your whole life be defined by a story you've been repeating to yourself since you were a kid. You're saying, I can't do it because I didn't grow up with this. Or I can't make it because I don't have that. You're saying, it's not fair because I didn't get the same start. You're saying they had connections. They had opportunities. They had money. They had resources. They had support. They had somebody believing in them. But let me ask you something. How long are you going to let what you didn't get stop you from getting what you can get? How long are you going to keep telling yourself a story that excuses your lack of effort? Because while you're repeating that story, somebody else is living proof that you can win without any of the things you claim you need. While you're stuck in your excuses, somebody with less talent, less support, less opportunity, less everything is outworking you. And because of that, they're getting results you'll never see. You've got to stop blaming circumstances. You've got to stop blaming the hand you were dealt. You've got to stop saying, I would if. No. You would if you wanted it. You would if you were committed. You would if you were serious. Circumstances are not the barrier. The barrier is that you want the dream, but you don't want the grind. You want the outcome, but you don't want the process. You want the prize, but you don't want to pay the price. And when the price shows up, you start reaching for excuses to make yourself feel better. You tell yourself, this isn't my fault. It's because of this. It's because of that. That's weakness talking. That's fear talking. That's comfort talking. And you've got to silence that voice if you want to win. Listen, life doesn't care about your excuses. The marketplace doesn't care about your excuses. Your boss doesn't care about your excuses. The game doesn't care about your excuses. The clock doesn't care about your excuses. The scoreboard doesn't care about your excuses. You can have excuses or you can have results, but you can't have both. And the day you understand that is the day you start to transform. I'm telling you right now, ownership is the first step. Take ownership of your life. Take ownership of your habits. Take ownership of your failures. Take ownership of your mistakes. Stop running from responsibility and grab it with both hands. The moment you stop pointing the finger out there and start pointing the finger in here is the moment your life changes forever. Some of you don't get it yet. You think people who make it had it easier. You think people who succeed had some advantage you'll never have. You think greatness is about luck. No. Greatness is about responsibility. Greatness is about saying, I don't care what the conditions are. I don't care what the environment is. I don't care what's stacked against me. I'm going to outwork every single obstacle in my way. That's greatness. That's how legends are made. Legends are not made because everything lined up perfectly. Legends are made because they refuse to let anything become an excuse. You've got to outwork everybody. That's the secret. It's not glamorous. It's not pretty. It's not something you can post about on social media to get likes. It's the grind that nobody sees. It's the hours when you're tired, but you keep going. It's the mornings when you don't feel like it, but you show up anyway. It's the nights when you could be relaxing, but you're putting in the reps. You're studying the craft. You're sharpening your skills. Outwork everybody. Stop comparing yourself to people who had more. Stop envying people who got a head start. You can't control what they got, but you can control how much work you put in. And I promise you, consistent hard work beats gifted inconsistency every single time. You want to talk about results. You want to talk about success. Then let's talk about hours. How many hours are you really putting in? Let's talk about focus. How locked in are you when you work? Let's talk about sacrifice. What are you willing to give up so you can go up? Because a lot of you talk about wanting it, but you want it as long as it doesn't interfere with your comfort. You want it as long as it doesn't cost you your weekends. You want it as long as you don't have to wake up early. You want it as long as you don't have to cut out the distractions. That's not hunger. That's wishful thinking. Hunger doesn't care about comfort. Hunger doesn't care about sleep. Hunger doesn't care about convenience. Hunger says, I don't care what it costs me, I'm going to pay it. Hunger says, I don't care what it takes, I'm going to do it. Hunger says, there are no excuses, there is just work. Do you understand? Some of you are being outworked by people with less talent than you. You're being outworked by people with less potential than you. You're being outworked by people who don't even have the same resources you have. And the reason they're beating you is because you've been seduced by your excuses. You've convinced yourself you can't because of this or that, while they've convinced themselves they will in spite of this or that. And that belief, that relentless commitment to work no matter what, is what's making the difference. You keep telling yourself the reason you're not where you want to be is because of something external. No, the reason you're not where you want to be is because you've made peace with excuses. You've allowed yourself to buy into the lie that it's out of your control. It's not out of your control. You're in control of your effort. You're in control of your energy. You're in control of your discipline. You're in control of your consistency. And if you lock in on those things, if you give everything you've got day in and day out. If you refuse to take a day off from your grind, I promise you the universe has no choice but to respond. But it starts with you. It starts with ownership. It starts with refusing to accept excuses from yourself ever again. Listen to me. Discipline beats talent when talent doesn't stay consistent. I don't care how gifted you are. I don't care how naturally skilled you are. I don't care how many people told you you're special. If you don't have discipline, that talent will betray you. Talent is the spark, but discipline is the fire that keeps burning when the wind blows, when the rain falls, when the storms of life hit. Talent can open the door, but only discipline can keep you inside the room. And some of you have been leaning so heavy on your talent that you've forgotten the grind, you've forgotten the structure, you've forgotten the sacrifice it takes to maintain that talent and grow it into greatness. I've seen it 1,000 times. Somebody shows up with raw talent, they get noticed, they make some noise, and then they vanish. Why? Because talent will only carry you until discipline exposes you. You can run fast, but if you don't run every day, somebody with slower legs but stronger consistency is going to pass you. You can sing better, but if you don't practice those notes, somebody with a weaker voice but stronger work ethic is going to own the stage. You can code better, sell better, write better, create better, but if you don't show up and execute day in and day out, you will be forgotten. The graveyard is full of talented people who never discipline themselves. The streets are full of gifted people who never put in the consistent reps. And I came here to tell you, if you think talent is enough, you're already losing. Discipline means doing it whether you feel like it or not. Talent is emotional. Talent is, I feel good today, let me perform. Discipline is, I don't care how I feel. I'm going to get this work in. Talent is driven by moods. Discipline is driven by commitment. And when those two go head to head, discipline wins every single time. Discipline shows up at 5 a.m. when talent is still sleeping. Discipline studies film when talent is watching TV. Discipline is in the gym shooting free throws after everybody left. Discipline is at the library when talent is at the party. Discipline is practicing in silence while talent is bragging on Instagram. Discipline doesn't make noise. Discipline makes results. And some of you, you've been distracted because you're talented and people clap for you and people cheer for you and people celebrate you. But let me tell you something. The applause doesn't last. The hype doesn't last. The compliments don't last. What lasts is the foundation built by discipline. You think champions are made because they're more talented than everybody else. Wrong. Champions are made because they had the discipline to push themselves beyond talent. Champions are made because when their body said, stop, their discipline said, oh, one more rep. Champions are made because when they got bored, discipline kept them locked in. Champions are made because when nobody was watching, discipline made them go harder than they did when the cameras were on. Champions are not addicted to talent. Champions are addicted to discipline. Let me break it down. Discipline is consistency plus sacrifice plus commitment. Consistency means I'm there every single day, whether I feel it or not. Sacrifice means I'm willing to give up the temporary pleasures so I can get the permanent reward. Commitment means I'm locked in no matter what storms come my way. Talent might get tired. Talent might get lazy. Talent might get distracted, but discipline stays focused. And over time, discipline grows, discipline compounds, discipline stacks results on top of results until one day the disciplined person is standing on the stage and the talented person is in the crowd clapping. Do you know why some of you keep falling short? Because you're depending on talent to save you. You're waiting for talent to carry you when you don't feel like working. You're waiting for talent to give you the edge when life gets tough. But talent won't save you, discipline will. Talent won't carry you, discipline will. Talent won't push you through adversity, discipline will. That's why the most successful people are not always the most gifted, but they are the most disciplined. That's why the kid who wasn't the smartest in class ends up running the company, because they had the discipline to study every day. That's why the athlete who wasn't the fastest ends up breaking records, because they had the discipline to train harder. That's why the singer who didn't have the strongest voice ends up selling out arenas, because they had the discipline to work on their craft until their voice cut through the noise. Stop worshiping talent. Stop acting like talent is everything. Talent without discipline is wasted potential. Talent without discipline is empty promise. Talent without discipline is a dream that never comes true. And the scary part is talent will trick you. Talent will make you think you've got time. Talent will make you think you're good enough to relax. Talent will make you think you don't have to go as hard as the next person. But discipline knows the truth. You don't have time to waste. You don't have time to slack. You don't have time to play games. Every day you waste leaning on talent, somebody out there is stacking discipline. And when you meet them on the battlefield, you're going to lose. I don't care if you're smarter. I don't care if you're stronger. I don't care if you're better looking. I don't care if you're more connected. If I'm more disciplined, I'm going to outlast you. Because discipline is not about one day. Discipline is about every day. Discipline is not about a moment. Discipline is about a lifestyle. Discipline doesn't care about talent. Discipline creates results. And some of you keep getting beat by people with less because you've been lazy with your gift. You've been reckless with your talent. You've been irresponsible with what you were blessed with. And until you put discipline on top of your talent, you will never reach your potential. Discipline means I'm in control, not my feelings. Discipline means I'm in control, not my distractions. Discipline means I'm in control, not my environment. Discipline means I choose what I do, not the world around me. Talent doesn't make that choice. Discipline does. That's why discipline beats talent every time, because discipline is not just about performance. Discipline is about control. Control over your time, control over your habits, control over your direction, control over your future. Think about it. How many people do you know who were talented in high school but never made it? How many people do you know who were the best athletes, the best singers, the best dancers, the best students, but when it came time to transition to the next level, they disappeared? They disappeared because their talent had a ceiling and they never built the discipline to break through it. And then think about the ones who weren't the most talented, but they had grit, they had focus, they had work ethic, they had consistency. Those are the ones who lasted. Those are the ones who built careers. Those are the ones who built legacies. That's the difference. That's the power of discipline. Every single day, you've got a choice. Do I rely on talent or do I double down on discipline? Talent says, take it easy. You're good enough. Discipline says, push harder. You're not there yet. Talent says, skip today. You'll make up tomorrow. Discipline says, show up today because tomorrow isn't promised. Talent says, you've done enough. Discipline says, you haven't scratched the surface. Talent says, you're special. Discipline says, prove it every day. Which voice are you going to listen to? Because whichever voice you feed, that's the voice that wins. Success only comes when you sacrifice comfort and embrace the grind. Everybody wants to succeed. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to shine. But the moment it costs you something, the moment it makes you uncomfortable, the moment it requires you to sweat, to lose sleep, to miss out, to say no to things you love, most people fold. Most people want success as long as it's convenient. Most people want success as long as it doesn't hurt. But let me tell you the truth, success has a price, and that price is comfort. Success does not live where comfort lives. Success does not grow in the soil of easy. Success is born in sacrifice, raised in discomfort, and matured in the grind. Some of you don't get it yet. You think you can have both. You think you can chase success and keep your comfort. You think you can build your dream and still live soft. You think you can reach greatness without feeling pain. It doesn't work that way. If you want to be successful, you've got to give something up. You've got to give up your excuses. You've got to give up your laziness. You've got to give up your comfort zones. You've got to give up your distractions. You've got to give up your love for sleep, your love for chilling, your love for doing what feels good. Because greatness is not about what feels good. Greatness is about what produces good. And production requires grind. The grind is not pretty. The grind is not glamorous. The grind doesn't come with applause. The grind is lonely. The grind is painful. The grind is waking up at hours when nobody else is up. The grind is staying up when everybody else is asleep. The grind is doing the work in silence when nobody sees you. Nobody claps for you. Nobody even knows what you're doing. The grind is sacrificing comfort today so you can own comfort tomorrow. The grind is suffering now so you can celebrate later. The grind is delaying gratification while the rest of the world chases temporary pleasures. The grind is choosing discipline over desire. You've got to be willing to give up comfort because comfort is the enemy of growth. Comfort keeps you the same. Comfort tells you to stay in bed when you need to get up. Comfort tells you to eat whatever you want when your goals demand discipline. Comfort tells you to relax when you should be studying. Comfort tells you to take shortcuts when you need to put in the work. Comfort whispers in your ear, you've done enough. But listen to me, comfort is lying to you. Comfort is robbing you. Comfort is keeping you average. And if you're serious about success, you've got to break up with comfort. You've got to look comfort in the face and say, I don't need you anymore. You've kept me stuck long enough. I'm ready to move on. Understand, success requires sacrifice. That means you're going to have to cut things out of your life. That means you're going to have to make tough choices. That means you're going to have to give up good to go after great. That means you're going to have to trade what's easy for what's necessary. That means you're going to have to endure seasons of pain, seasons of struggle, seasons of doubt, seasons of being misunderstood. And the only way you get through it is by embracing the grind. Embracing the grind means you stop running from hard work. Embracing the grind means you stop complaining about the process. Embracing the grind means you look at the pain, the sweat, the fatigue, the discomfort, and you welcome it because you know it's shaping you into the person who can handle success. Everybody loves the glory, but nobody loves the grind. Everybody wants the trophy, but nobody wants the training. Everybody wants the reward, but nobody wants the responsibility. But let me tell you, the grind is where champions are made. The grind is where leaders are born. The grind is where legends are forged. The grind is where you separate the talkers from the doers. Anybody can talk about success. Anybody can dream about success. Anybody can post about success. But the grind proves who's real. The grind reveals the truth. The grind exposes the pretenders and exalts the committed. And don't think the grind is temporary. Don't think you just grind for a season and then coast for the rest of your life. No, the grind never ends. The grind is a lifestyle. The grind is the price of greatness, and you pay it every single day. The moment you stop grinding, you start slipping. The moment you stop grinding, you start losing. The moment you stop grinding, you open the door for somebody hungrier, somebody more disciplined, somebody more willing to suffer for it. That's why the best never stop. That's why the greats never get comfortable. They stay grinding even after they win because they know the grind is the only thing that guarantees they stay at the top. You say you want success. Let me ask you, what are you willing to sacrifice for it? Are you willing to sacrifice sleep? Are you willing to sacrifice friends who don't push you? Are you willing to sacrifice nights out? Are you willing to sacrifice comfort food? Are you willing to sacrifice scrolling, binging, wasting hours? Because if you're not willing to sacrifice, then you're not really serious. You like the idea of success, but you don't love it enough to pay the price. And success doesn't respond to likes. Success responds to sacrifice. You've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You've got to train your body and your mind to love the grind. You've got to rewire your brain so that pain feels like progress. You've got to shift your perspective so that sacrifice feels like investment. You've got to stop seeing the grind as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. The grind is not here to break you. The grind is here to build you. The grind is not your enemy. The grind is your partner. The grind is what qualifies you for the success you say you want. Most people will never get this. Most people will keep chasing shortcuts. Most people will keep running back to comfort. Most people will keep avoiding the grind. And that's why most people stay average, but not you. Not if you're serious. Not if you're hungry. Not if you've made up your mind that comfort will no longer control you. You've got to make the decision right now. I will sacrifice comfort. I will embrace the grind. I will pay the price. I will do whatever it takes to get where I need to be.